How has the tour cycle been so far?
The Midwest was a little shaky as always. West Coast was great. Texas was amazing for some reason. And then the whole East Coast run has been amazing. And our big joke is, for us in Madville, our big joke is as soon as we step across the border outside of the U.S., it's the best. You know, so here we are in Canada, and look, 2 sold-out shows. Great.
Yeah. Label situation. You're on Abacus.
Yeah.
Abacus folded.
Yeah.
What's the situation with you guys now?
Well, Abacus originally was a project of one of the 2 owners of Century Media, and it kind of, he asked us to be on Abacus because he wanted a big name on his hardcore label, and it kind of faded away. It didn't really work out, and so, you know, we got swallowed right into Century Media, so it's no big deal for us. You know?
So you're on Century now?
Yeah. I mean, the 2 guys who own Century Media have been coming to see us in Germany since 1993. Every time we play in their town, they're there, and they've always wanted us to be on the label, but we've always had, we were on a major, then we had our friend Fat Mike from NoFX brought us in, so, you know, we just checked it out like that. And we're really happy to be on it. They're really psyched about it. When we wrote Death to Tyrants and we gave it to them, they listened to one song and they were like, we have to put this record out. So we were very happy with that.
How's the hardcore scene changed from 20 years to the 90s, built the last era, till now?
It's really weird. We've watched it grow and it go from being a very open-minded scene where didn't matter how you look, how you dressed, or what you sounded like, to, of course, it's going to find its own sound, and it did. You know, the New York style found its own sound, and now they have more metallic bands like Death Before Dishonor who are on, but they have a good combination of, you know, hardcore and metal. We call them like all the bands that are the children of bands like Hatebreed and Snapcase, you know. But as far as personal pop, it's weird. The people who hold the real hardcore ideals together, that scene is so small now. And there's all these other scenes that call themselves hardcore or use the term hardcore, but it's more about just rock and roll. You know, it's like, oh, I want to be famous, I want to be on TV. If that happens to you, that's great. But to strive for that, don't call yourself hardcore then, or whatever. To me, that's just like, be a rock band, you know? Now, they're all saying they're rock bands, and they deny they're ever hardcore bands, but, you know, whatever.
Shapeshifters.
Exactly, yeah.
Hey.
Chameleons, whatever. Change it with whatever the color of the time is, you know.
What made it so that you guys didn't change one bit?
We're too dumb.
Yeah.
No, we've always loved this kind of music. We know our limitations, you know. I mean, if we wanted to try something different, we'd probably have to work with other people. But, you know, like, I'm not a great singer. I finally learned how to scream in key, you know. Pete was never a great guitar player. He learned as we went along. Armine was never a drummer. He was a guitar player. And one day, when his old band Straight Ahead, they asked, hey, we need a drummer. He goes, all right, I'll try it. And that's how he learned, by playing Straight Ahead songs. He never touched drums before that. And, you know, we all just learned together growing up. And, I mean, it gives us limits, but it also gives us a formula and a style that's all our own. I mean, we all love different kinds of music, too. But this is the music that I latched on. We all grew up together, listening to metal. We were into, you know, from Priest to Maiden to Motorhead to Venom to, you know, and then from that we progressed. But when I found hardcore, yeah, I still love metal. I still love Sepultura, great friends of ours, you know. And when I found hardcore, that just says something to me. So that's why we play it, and we love it. And we try to put that image out where we are. That's why we were one of the few hardcore bands that are like, oh, Sepultura wants you to go on tour. We'll do it. We didn't give a shit what the band, you know, what the fans were going to react. We wanted to show them what we loved. We did Slayer tours. We did fucking shows with the Boss Tones. We did shows with bands like Helmet, which were all guitar geeks would go to, and here comes these guys who are playing 3 or 4 chords, you know?
What made it so that, you know, Death to Tyrants was such a kind of cumulative album, both musically and politically?
Definitely because lyrically, it was a result of everything from 9/11 on, living in the United States and traveling the world and seeing how people react to us, and you know, not only 9/11 but the whole Katrina hurricane, where America failed to take care of its own. And that, when people sit there and say, oh, the Bush administration is not as bad as everybody says, look at that. just look at that. You failed to protect your own people. I don't care if they were poor drug addicts like they kept saying on the news. Oh, it was the bad area, there was violence. Yeah, because nobody went to help them, you know? I don't care. But America failed to save its own. And all that was bottled up in us. And musically, it was like I said, we had something to prove. Because the mainstream media doesn't give a crap about bands that last this long unless we sell X amount of records and we do, you know, X amount of people at shows. But Sick of It All was never a huge record-selling band. We do good live, but not good enough for these people when they have, you know, like the new bands with the makeup or whatever. You know, I'm not putting these bands down. AFI are our fucking best friends, you know? Yeah. And the magazines don't give a shit. So we knew they would be a little interested that we've been around for 20 years. So when our 20th anniversary, we said we have to make a record that they're going to go, holy shit, there's a reason they've been around for 20 years. And we did. I mean, we're fucking proud of it. And I think a lot of that to do with us really sitting down and taking our time with the record, and to Mattson, the producer. He knew, you know, like, he would come to see us live and hang out with us, like, months, even before we even said we were going to work with him. He came to so many shows in Europe, and he's been a fan of ours since he was a teenager, he said. And then we all went in the studio, and it was just fucking great. And we're going to work with him on the next one, too.
Amazing. Amazing. What would you say, people who say that there should be change in the States, there should be change in the political, you know, landscape? I mean, you guys are that who advocate change.
Yeah.
Personal, I guess.
It's really hard because you know, I mean, you could go into all the conspiracy theories of how it's locked in. You know, you see politicians who are on their way up, young politicians, and they're really radical and they're very, you know, in for changes. And then when you reach a certain level, to get to that next level, you got to get in bed with giant corporations. You know, they play both sides. They're backing Democrats and Republicans. And then when you go and vote for like a third party, they're telling you that you're wasting your vote. You know, you're just putting whoever in power. And it's a really fucked up race in America right now. You know, with especially the Democratic race. It's like, you know, it would be a real power ticket, but and I don't even know if it's egos, but if Obama and Hillary got together, it would be a real power ticket, you know?
As a couple, like, and they had kids kind of thing?
No. Yeah, well, might as well. Bill's always cheating on us, so what the fuck, you know?
That'd be a serious power ticket right there.
Yeah, yeah.
You should give her his power ticket.
Oh.
You know? Just saying.
Yeah.
What do you say to a kid who sees the things that you see, sees the problems that exist, sees the inequalities, and wants to do something, wants to make a change?
You know, the best way to do it is on a personal level. Because like I said, the government failed its own, American government failed its own people, and you know who went to bat for the people? Other people. We were on tour, and I'd be calling my friends at home, and they would be saying, my friend who's a city bus driver volunteered, went down to Katrina to drive buses, to drive workers and people to the rescue. My older brothers worked for the Department of Environmental Protection in New York City, volunteered, went down there, helped clean up, helped, you know, pump out the bad water, all that shit. And does the government subsidize this? Nope. These are people who care about their country. And meanwhile, George Bush is flying over it like for 5 days and then finally lands. You know, doesn't go. Son of a bitch.
So that's the solution, is to get involved.
That's the only way you're gonna really affect the change. You know, it's personal levels. I mean, that's like we do with us. We use our band. We've done benefits for homeless shelters in New York. We've done a whole bunch of stuff like that. You know?
A couple more quick questions. What are some non-hardcore artists you listen to these days?
Oh man, I really love that Amy Winehouse record. I don't give people, you laugh at me if you want. Bitch lives what she sings. And it's fucking great. Right? You put that shit on, girls melt. I put it on my wife, be like, oh God, I love you. You know, it's great. Great record, great voice, great songs. You know, really good shit. What else have I been listening to? I like the Foo Fighters, but you know, I was kind of disappointed with the last album. It's good, but I like the more rockin' shit. You know, if I like rock, I like the rock like that. Like that, the one before it was fucking great. The double record. This new one's got some good songs, but it doesn't grab you like that one.
Solid. Any final words for you know, for our fans and for the scene? Anything?
I'm just, you know, I hope people stick around. I mean, I hope younger kids got to come to the shows. You know, it's not. I understand. It's a generational thing. Like, I understand a lot of young kids I can only identify with bands of people their age and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, we may be older, but you should come because we're not like your dad yelling at you. We got some good advice, you know. And you know what? Most of the time, it's just a good fucking time. So
solid.
I hope everybody. You just got to keep it growing.
Amazing. Thanks a lot, Lou.
Thank you.